Remakes. Something a lot of studios struggle to get right nowadays. Well, that or they just don't give a shit about their games to begin with. Nintendo is different. They care a lot about their properties, a bit too much actually, but hey, at least that means their remakes are usually pretty good. Usually. Of course, there's the classic list of games people beg for remakes of, and yeah, they're all Mother 3, but among those requests, people have begged for a remake of Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door as well. I mean, with the series having the decline it did, it's no wonder people wanted to relive the fan favorite again, right? Especially with the secondhand game market as batshit insane as it is right now. Well, people's wishes were finally granted with the recent remake on the game's 20th anniversary. Well, my wishes as well. I picked it up and decided this would be a great opportunity to compare, to get a taste of what's new, what's old, and what's better or worse. And I mean a taste pretty literally. I played through just the first couple hours of the original and the remake in order to compare, so I can save a more in-depth analysis for another time. But anyway, with that, let's take a look. Where better to begin than graphics, right? I mean, it's probably the first thing you think of when talking about a ground-up remake, and in this case, I think it was handled pretty well. Now, something a lot of people criticize modern Paper Mario for is leaning too far into the paper aesthetic. I mean, after all, the original game was just called Mario Story in Japan, so it's often argued the original artistic intent was for the game to resemble a pop-up storybook rather than an amalgamation of arts and crafts, right? While I'm not totally against the new art direction, I did want to see the art style of the original game kept intact here, and I'm glad to say it is for the most part. They're not so in your face with the allusions to paper, leaving the times which they do take advantage of it more of a novelty. It was like this in the original, and I'm glad they retained that here. I gotta say though, I'm not much of a fan of the, reflectivity. Like, maybe it makes sense in some situations, but Rogueport, a dingy, shady port town, should not be so damn shiny and clean, man. And on grass too, I mean, it just looks off, right? I don't know, just a nitpick, but everything else looks great. The UI, the characters, love it. How does it feel to play though? Well, it's important to note that the original game ran at a buttery smooth 60 FPS, while the remake runs at 30 or so FPS. Now, no, I'm not one to bash on a low frame rate or anything. I can obviously handle a 30 FPS game, but 60 FPS was something quite impressive for a GameCube game back then, right? Even the parts with tons and tons of enemies on screen still performed quite well. Again though, I'm not going to be so picky about it since it doesn't bother me that much, but I thought it was worth a mention. Besides, it doesn't cause any issues with action commands. A button press can only be registered on one frame of gameplay, and since 30 frames per second is just half of the original 60, timing would have been twice as difficult as before, but they obviously made the time windows for landing these moves much larger to accommodate. So you can pull off your stylish moves to your heart's content. The remake is definitely more handholdy though, which is something I'm kinda unfazed by. It's just how games are nowadays, even remakes, overly explanatory, and the slower text scroll speed doesn't help. I do like how they replaced the simple text scroll sound from the original with unique speaking sounds for each character, a pretty nice touch. And that brings me to music. They remade the soundtrack for this game, and I'd say it's pretty good. Some songs I do prefer the original versions. Some might say the remake knocks them out of the park. And some I could honestly go either way on. I've got no reason to complain though. If you want the old soundtrack back, it's $1 to buy this badge that doesn't cost any badge points to equip, so you can pick whichever soundtrack you prefer. The remake includes a lot of little improvements and details that I think are worth noting, so let's take a look. They added a fast travel pipe room easily accessible at the center of Rogueport. A great addition, especially with how much backtracking there is in this game. You can now swing your hammer in more directions than just left and right. There's now a partner ring easily accessible by holding down the L button, making partner swapping a breeze. Ah, this house is great. It's this Princess Peach fanatic, he's got a bunch of photos of her and shit, yeah, but in the remake, you can hit the wall and he gets pissed, dude. Similarly, I appreciate them creating some new poses for Mario. Really love this nonchalant thumbs up, and him cranking his neck back to look up is pretty great. Good stuff all around. But yeah, as a pretty big Paper Mario fan from what I've played, I'm pretty damn pleased with this remake. There are a few little nitpicks I can make, like 60 FPS would have been really nice, but none of them are big enough to warrant making a big fuss over. It takes a lot for me to consider a remake a complete replacement for the original, and I wouldn't go that far, but I don't see myself returning to the original for the foreseeable future. Honestly, I feel very similarly about Ocarina of Time and its remake, where the remake just has too many quality of life improvements for me to want to return to the original for now, despite it having a few caveats of its own. I digress though. What do you think about Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door? Enjoying the remake, or are you content with the original? Let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like, it helps a lot. Also, do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss out on any future uploads. I know this video is on the shorter side, but I'm cooking up something big right now, so I figured I'd get out something short in the meantime, right? So stay tuned for that, and as always, hopefully I'll see you all again soon. Bye.